Hi, welcome to White Threads Floss Tube number 36. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And if you haven't shared these videos with your friends yet, I would love it if you did, particularly if they're needle workers. Today I'm going to talk to you about some more plaited braid stitch. I found some more examples that I had in my cupboard that I'd done that I had forgotten about. So I thought you would like to see them as well as what I showed you the other day. After posting my video the other day about the Elizabethan piece that I made about 10 years ago now, that image was posted in many places on the internet, which is absolutely fine. I'm happy for that because, you know, why not share these things with others? And there was one lady on a goldwork group, Lesley, who asked me some questions about it. She wanted to give it a go. She had a copy of my stitch dictionary and she wanted to give it a go and wasn't sure what size needle she should be using with the thread that she had, and she mentioned that she had some particular thread and she was wondering about the fabric. So I told her she could basically use any fabric that she liked. I would like to qualify that now by saying a finely woven fabric is going to be better. The more holes that you have to put your needle through, the more choices you will have of where your needle comes out, and therefore you can be more accurate with your stitch placement. If you're using a very coarse fabric, there are less options and you're going to have to be placing your needle through threads a lot more, which is always much harder than placing it between threads. Anyway, so I advised her on the size of the needle. I said, look, I'm not sure what the thickness of that thread is, so therefore I can't recommend to you a particular size needle, but the way you should choose your needle is this. When you have a needle, and let me grab one. No, I'll get this one. When you have a needle, you have a thread that goes in this side and out the other. So it comes up one on each side through the eye of the needle. That basically means you have a double thickness of thread that goes through the fabric. Now, not all of it's double thickness. Most of the time it's just a single thickness, and it's just where the tail is that's double. But that is the thickest that you will be taking through the fabric. So my advice always in choosing your needle size is to double over your thread. So here's a piece of thread. Let me grab one. Yep, here's a piece of thread. If I double that over, that is the thickness that I need to make a hole for to go through my fabric. That is the thickness of the needle that I need. So you need to choose a needle that is the same thickness as double your thread, because that's where when it comes out through the needle eye, it's double thickness. So the idea of a needle is to create a hole large enough for your thread to go through the fabric each time without abrading. If it abrades each time, it will get worn and fluffy very quickly. If it's a gold thread, so gold wrapped around a shaft of usually cotton, sorry, not a shaft, a central core of cotton, if you're abrading that every time you pull it through the fabric, it's going to fall apart quite quickly. It will break, the gold will break, and therefore it will become useless to you. So you need a needle that's thick enough to take the doubled thread through the fabric, and that's why. Sometimes that will feel too thick, and I'm sorry, you might like using a size 28 tapestry needle with your size 5 pearl cotton, because you like the feel of the needle, but it's not going to do you any favours. This is a battle that I am constantly feeling like I'm losing with some people. Anyway, so I advised Lesley on her needle size, and then this morning she sent me a message with this beautiful photograph of what she had achieved. And let me read you what she said. She said, "Your guidance on the needle size was what gave me the impetus to start. Once the foundation was done, it's so simple from step 9. I love gold work, but Elizabethan braiding stitch always looked too complex. Your clear instructions showed me that it really isn't. So grateful for your advice." So that was really lovely to hear that from Lesley this morning, and it was fantastic to know that she'd managed to complete the stitch so beautifully. I have given her 1 or 2 tips on how she could improve it, and as I'm always happy to do, and she's going to try that next. So I've got a couple of other pieces of plaited braid stitch that I've worked on previously that I thought you'd like to see. This is a little Christmas decoration, and so it's just on cardboard, it's flat, it's got a little bit of padding beneath it, and then we've got the plaited braid stitch around here, and then this is a strawberry, quite obviously. And then there's little gold paillettes there as well, which are sequins, but they're made of gold. Then this was, oh, which is the right way up? I think that's up. This was a design that I taught many years ago in a class, and you can see similar sorts of ideas here. I don't actually even like eating strawberries, but I think they're beautiful as a motif, so that's why I did strawberries here. And so this is the plaited braid stitch up here. We also have chain stitch here, but when you work chain stitch in gold thread, it's actually much easier to work it as a reverse chain stitch. So one day I should show you how to do that, because it's really useful, and you can substitute reverse chain stitch anytime that chain stitch is required, and it often produces a better result. What else do we have here? Oh, we've got some buttonhole-y things, and oh, in the center here are, what is it? Trellis spirals. Oh, I don't know, they're in my book, and they're used for the centers of the flowers. They're actually a really lovely stitch, and it's quite disrespectful of me to not even remember what they're actually called. Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, so this is another design that I've made some years ago that you can see that I used the plaited braid stitch there as well. Now the other thing that I just wanted to talk to you about was, some of you probably don't know that I have a blog. So my FlossTube channel is called White Threads Floss Tube. The name White Threads actually came from my blog originally, and I've had that blog for many, many years, and there's lots of stuff on it. But I wanted to point it out to you because there are things on my blog that I don't actually talk about here on FlossTube. So all of my White Threads Floss Tube posts get put on my blog so that they come through to people who have subscribed, and it comes into their email each day. But there's other posts that I put there too. So last week, I think it was, I wrote a post about trusting your own judgment and trying things out for yourself. And you don't always have to be told the answer to things. You can figure it out for yourself. I get a lot of people asking me a lot of questions, and a lot of the time I think, actually, you could figure that out for yourself. I know you want the opinion of someone who you think knows more than you do, but the reason why I know those answers, if I know the answers to those things, is because I've tried them out. So when I'm writing a book, I have to try stuff out. There's no one to ask these things because those people are long gone, and I'm usually just basing my work on historical pieces, and there is no way I can ask those historical pieces, how was this done? What thread did you use? So I have to work these things out for myself. I'm not the only one that can do that. You can too. So on my blog, there's a little post, a little pep talk from Auntie Yvette on how to do that and why you should do it. And then at the moment, I'm working my way through a series of blog posts on copyright, respecting others' work, and particularly Pinterest, and why that's a bit of a minefield. But I also find Pinterest useful. So they'll be coming up. There's 2 posts already on that topic, and they'll be coming up over the next few days as well. I would really love your thoughts on that, on my blog posts. You can reply at the bottom of each blog post. You can also email me. I've got responses coming in from everywhere. I've got them on Facebook and emailed to me and on the blog post. So there is quite a lot of discussion happening about it, which is really fascinating because people bring up things that I haven't necessarily thought of, and that's really useful to me, and that usually provokes another blog post. Copyright is not something that I want to harp on about, but it is an issue. And I've just found that in thinking about this topic that I have a fair bit to say, which is why I've got quite a few blog posts lined up about it and different aspects of it. And it's not all preachy. I am also trying to help you figure these things out yourself and how you can be respectful of other people's work as well. So I think that's all I wanted to say today. Yeah, I think it is. Well, thank you so much for joining me again, and I will see you next time. Bye.